Hi, Falcon and Freeman friends. Today we're going to talk about continuous improvement plan for Freeman Elementary, starting with a few quotes. Doesn't matter how much data you have, you can't use it, it's not valuable. Think about how you're using your data in your classroom and in your grade level. Understand the long game. Don't get discouraged with what you hear or perhaps you see. Data is data. Don't take it as a break it or a win. Data is data. Students are not the problem. They are the potential. We can take our little lovely little ones and help them to grow. The last one being a flip in school, capturing kids' hearts, showcase school for the last couple of years. He says it's okay not to be okay, and we're there some days, but it's not okay to stay that way. So we need to continue to grow, and that's what we're going to do today. Kind of where are we? 330 students. We've recently had an increase, so 5 or 6 students, pre-K through 5. We know that we are heavily free and reduced, 55%. Attendance rate, 94%. Looks great, doesn't it? Look below. Out of that 94%, those that are students who continually are absent over and over and over, the same students, building in 2018, 11.73% of our student clientele are the same ones over and over and over again, absent. Improvement a little bit there in 2019. You can say, hey, but look at the district. Doesn't matter. We want to be better. Like Tony says, we are not average. We want to be above average. Looking at our disadvantaged economic and non-disadvantaged students, we have 52% of disadvantaged socially economically disadvantaged students. We know that number's high. We see it. We hear it. We know where our kids come from. This one you may not know. We have a total of almost 21% of our clientele is with disability of one sort, one type of a disability or another. What does our data look like? Where do we come from? Well, let's look. Data looks good for math and reading. We're above the district and above the state. But let's look a little bit deeper. Let's look over to free and reduced. We have 32% of our kids in 18 that were on level 1. We had 17%, a big increase the next year. But even look at the district and the state. Look how many of our kids that are coming from free and reduced homes for lunches are not faring very well. Go down even lower. This is even sadder. Our students with disabilities. Building wide, 18 and 19, we look good compared to everybody else. But look at that number. What are we doing to help our students with those disabilities? We can't say, well, it's because of the kid. There's a big impact there. But we need to turn that around and say, what can I do as a teacher? What can I do as a para? What can I do as a custodian to help our kids be successful? Same thing with ELA, English Language Arts data. Oops, I'm sorry about that. Let me go back real quick. English Language Arts, again, 18-19 is pretty close for all students, free and reduced, dramatically higher in level 1, 32, almost 32% in 2019. Look at our reading with students with disabilities, 50%, 48%. State and district. Friends, we got to figure out what are we going to do for these babies who have struggles? How can we help them be successful? And of course, not just on the test, but in life itself. This is just an indicator. Where do we want to be? Our district mission statement is through professional learning communities is to provide effective instruction so all students learn and achieve to high levels, caring, effective learning for all. We need to help our kids to be able to reach their excellence where their high level of learning is. And it's different for all of them, but all of them have it. And we have to figure out how we can get our kids there. Where do we want to be? Vision for the whole district, equip learners with 21st century skills to achieve excellence in continually changing world. As a district, we believe student success comes first, above all else. Learning is enhanced in a safe, and we're good about that, and caring, we're very good about that, environment. Students need a rigorous, relevant, and world-class curriculum. Exploration, collaboration, and innovation are essential. In looking at our data, if we put it in a nutshell, decrease level 1 and 2, increase level 3 and 4. We want to have fluent readers who love to read, who are independent thinkers, who can become lifelong learners, who are going to make the world a better place. Here at Freeman, we all know these. They're at the bottom of our PLC notes. Improve reading 95% with literacy first and phonics. State assessments, 85% or higher, increasing our 2 through 4 to 80%. Math, pretty much the same, increasing those levels, moving them from level 1 and 2 to 2, 3, and 4. Our school climate, guys, I'm excited about this one, to strengthen school climate by engaging in purposeful relationship building activities monthly with staff. We've had some trials over the last few years, but we are doing that. We are coming out. Our morale is getting higher. We are caring for each other and keeping each other going when sometimes we just feel depleted. Office referrals decreasing, using some different school-wide reinforcements and coaching situations with students who are getting those ODRs. How did we get where we are? Well, there's some great things we've been doing. Capturing kids' hearts, building those relationships, those social contracts, referring back to them. Behavior management, which goes back to teaching them manners, second step. Social skills, our curriculum, math curriculum, the spiraling, whether it's being done with fidelity or infidelity, that's up to you, and you know where you're at on that. Cross-grade level meetings, which we used to have. Unfortunately, our schedule now does not allow us to do that anymore, but we're still PLCing within the grade level. Transitioning between 3 principals in the last 4 years, guys, we all know it's been tough. It's been tough. We've had some great things happen in the last 4 years, and we've had a lot of struggles. But as Tony says, this is a new start. We don't want to be average. We want to go above average, and our staff is really growing this year, and I've seen a huge improvement in the morale. State assessment prep, doing great at. We have our tiers going, tier 1, 2, and 3. We have interventions in place. Like I said, the staff morale is improving and opportunities to grow through learning at the Learning Center. I love this quote, go as far as you can see. When you get there, you'll be able to see further. That's kind of what Tony says about we don't want to be average. We want to be above average. We're at average now. Let's see what we can go further. And once we get there, let's continue to grow. How are we going to get where we want to be? There's a lot of things that we have underneath of here. Designing learning activities where students are being challenged creatively, where we have, when we're planning, we don't think of what are we going to do today, but where do we want our kids at the end? And have that plan, that effective planning, being creative and flexible, continuing with our assessments, performance sharing with parents and with students. The older grades, you guys are great with talking about your kids and the rubrics that you use. How can we start doing that in the younger grades? Also with parents, we need to maybe figure out another way. How, instead of just twice a year when we're sitting down for conferences, how can we continue through Class Dojo or whatever to say, hey, your kids are doing great at this. Hey, your kids need some support on this. Maybe having some math and reading nights, teaching our parents what our kids are learning and how they can help them at home. Getting packets for more than just at Christmas for Christmas break and over the end of the year, summer programs stuff to send home with them. What can we do in the meantime? Managing behavior with our kids. We've got capturing kids' hearts. We've already talked about that. Second step, social skills. But what are we doing for those tier 3 students? We've got school or our classroom incentives. We got school-wide incentives, but maybe we need to start looking at that tier 3 and maybe we need to start changing that up again. We have wonderful para support. We also need to be thinking about how are we using them both academically and behavior. Of course, supervision. Our kids are safe. They know they're safe. They're here to learn. We also need to identify the gaps in the groups in those gaps, just like we were talking about earlier with our special ed. 48, 50% aren't successful. Why is that? Data dialogue, PLCing, monitoring, classroom conversations, grade levels, professional development. If you're struggling in something, don't be offended if somebody says, hey, this is this great class coming up at the Learning Center. Take it with me. It's not saying you're not doing a good job. It's just saying, how can we improve and supporting each other while we're doing that? Continuing a teacher evaluation, I'm full-heartedly believing that we should start going into each other's classrooms. What are they doing? How are they doing it? Maybe it's something different we haven't thought of. We're all different individuals. How are we using our talents? How can other people see those talents and maybe glean a little bit from that? Continue keeping our objectives and guiding questions on the board. And remember, it's about students, not our ego. Unity is strength. Where there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. And that's where we need to be, is that unity. Is what we're doing making a difference? That's the big question. And the answer is, my friends, yes. If I was presenting this to my staff, as I've been talking to them at this point, I would stop the video and say, okay, guys, let's talk about growth at your tables. What are some great things you're seeing here? What are some things or areas you need to see growth coming in? For my portion of it, and also I would share with them, our student data supports our growth. Classroom data supports our growth. But data doesn't always prove success. We need to look at different ways that our kids can learn that they are being successful, whether it's behavior or academics, whether it's math, whether it's reading, whether it's handwriting, whether it's writing. And as a staff, we desire continued growth demonstrated with the master's degrees that we have our teachers getting. Oh my goodness, we have so many people who are going back to school and working on those things. We have the desire there. We have to cohesively have that desire for all of us. I want to leave you with this quote: leadership equals influence. The challenge of leadership is balancing being strong, but not rude, kind, but not weak, bold, but not a bully, thoughtful, but not lazy, humble, but not timid, proud, but not arrogant, having humor, but without folly. We have a great staff here at Freeman. We're doing a lot of great things. We need to take it to the next step. We need to get to that mountain and see what's out there beyond that. Thank you very much.